Hello folks, and Happy New Year! This is Donnie Gladfelter from the CAD Geek blog. Today what I'd like to talk about is how we can use the action recorder that we find inside of AutoCAD 2009 and AutoCAD 2010 to create zoom macros, similar to the ones that you might find inside of Civil 3D. And so by zoom macros, what I'm talking about, once again inside of Civil 3D, you're able to type things like ZP to do a zoom previous and ZE for zoom extents and so on down the line. And so what I'm going to show you guys how to do is how to recreate these macros that we of course don't have by default inside of regular AutoCAD, how to recreate them very quickly and easily using the action recorder. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and jump into AutoCAD now and see how we might be able to do this. Alright, so I've launched just regular AutoCAD now and opened up one of the sample drawings that ship with the product just so we can kind of see the zoom macros in action here. But first and foremost, the action recorder. I'll find the action recorder over here on the Manage tab, and I've got a panel dedicated once again to the action recorder. And like many things inside of AutoCAD and inside the ribbon more specifically, inside of the action recorder panel, I've got all sorts of tools that we can use to work with and manage the action macros that we will create. And so first and foremost, what I want to do is, again, what I'm talking about, I want to create an action macro that when I type in ZP, instead of AutoCAD coming up and telling me unknown command, that it will do a zoom previous for me. And so to do that, what I want to do first and foremost is click on this big record button that we find inside of the action recorder panel. Now when I click on the record button, this action tree comes up. Now what the action tree does is it shows me pretty much everything that I type into the software. And so I'm going to start by typing in Z for zoom. And notice what happens. Even though I typed in Z, which is of course the command alias for zoom, the action tree recorded the actual command name itself. So the full zoom command, not just Z. Pretty helpful just in case my command aliases get changed from time to time. And so in this case, what I want to do is use one of the options that we find down here at the command line, which in this case is going to be P for previous. So I'm going to type in P. And once again, even though I use just the one character shortcut, the action tree here records the entire entry, in this case previous. And of course the zoom command ends. And so that's really all I want to do for my zoom previous macro. And so I'm going to click the stop button here. Now when I do that, the action macro dialog comes up here. And the first thing it's asking me for is a name. Now, the interesting thing, and I'm going to show you this in a moment, whatever I name my action macros also becomes a command. And so since I want to be able to type in ZP to do a zoom previous, I'm going to name my action macro ZP. I can also enter in a description if I wish, but I'm just going to take the defaults for now and hit OK. Now when I do that, and I'm going to unpin this action tree here so it'll go away. When I do that, this little drop down here, it now lists the action macro that I created named ZP. So let's zoom into our drawing here and see how this might work. So I'm going to type in ZP. And sure enough, it tells me that the macro played back successfully. And I've zoomed out to the area that I was at before. So let's see if we can do this for zoom extents. So again, I'm going to hit the record button. I'm going to type in Z for zoom, E for extents. Again, it does the zoom extents for me, so that's all I really want to do here. So I'm just going to do ZE for the action macro name and hit OK. So like the zoom previous macro that I just created, I've got ZP and ZE in here, just like that. So let's zoom in once again. I'll do a ZE. It plays back the macro, zooms to the extents, and now I can do ZP and it should zoom me back in, just like that. So again, that's kind of pretty simple, just one command, one option. But what if I wanted to do a zoom extents, but then I also wanted to scale it just a tad bit? So again, zoom extents, things kind of push out to the very edge of my drawing area here. But what if I wanted to zoom out just a tad bit, something like that? I can do that also with the action recorder. So in this case, I'm going to click on the record button once again. I'm going to type in Z for zoom, E for extents. So that of course completes the zoom command, but I'm going to relaunch the zoom command now, which of course it pops up here in the action tree. and I'm going to type in 0.8x. And what that's going to do is scale it 80%. Or whatever my current zoom level is, it's going to scale it by 80%. So notice it zooms out just a tad bit there from the extents. So I'm going to click the stop button now. And for this one, I'm going to name it ZEE for zoom extra extents, and hit OK. So now I can zoom in here. If I want to, I'll go ahead and get rid of that action tree real quick. I could do ZE for zoom extents. I can do ZP to zoom back in. And I can do ZEE for zoom extra extents, as we're calling it. And again, I got 3 different zoom options or zoom results from those 3 macros. Now, this little action macro playback complete can get a little annoying from time to time. So if you don't want to have this come up every time that you launch one of the action macros, just click on the Do Not Show Me This Again button and hit close, and you'll never see them again. So there you have it, how to use the action recorder found inside of AutoCAD 2009 and AutoCAD 2010 to recreate the zoom macros that we find in a number of products such as Civil 3D very quickly and easily. I hope this tip has helped you save some time in the new year. Once again, this is Donnie Gladfelter from the CAD Geek blog. I hope you'll join me for many more tips and tricks just like this one at www.thecadgeek.com.